Good morning, everyone. My name is Colleen Stein. Spent the last 20 years or so out in Ontario and then came back home to Barrhead. I think I'm here pretty well to present the small town perspective on hemp. When I first came back to Barrhead, the common question seemed to be, how do we attract industry back to our town? How do we attract businesses to Barrhead? And I think many small towns are asking that same question. And so we decided that maybe the better question might be, so how do we build our own businesses? How do we work within and elevate ourselves? So me personally, I believe hemp is, God's gift to help us heal this planet and heal ourselves. Whether it's carbon capture or, soil building, food, feed, medicine, biodiesel, you name it, hemp can provide it. So for us, the opportunity to help revitalize our rural community, to create a local circular economy, and to diversify our ag-based economy really is hemp. So my daughter and I started Hemp Works in about 2018 with the belief that it needed to be a grassroots initiative within the community for us to survive and prosper. We located just outside of Barrhead. We picked up an old lumber mill. It's pretty rough, but very cool. And we started restoration about 2 years ago. And it really is a brilliant property with lots of potential. And so it's 30 acres, 25,000 square foot plant. There's 2 shops, concrete pads, lots of place for bale storage, and lots of room to expand. So each building is dedicated to a specific function for fiber and grain processing on a small scale, with plans for pilot scale manufacturing as well on site as we develop new products. So our family, friends, and neighbors are growing hemp for us under contract. We process the grain and fiber at the facility. We work with local businesses on ways to incorporate processed hemp into either their current product lines or other products that they might want to develop and add to their offerings. We also aim to attract new businesses to the community who will commercialize other projects or collaborate on product development. We're just trying to keep things simple. We're trying to work within the community and basically sort of take a more common sense approach to building up hemp within the region. So we ourselves launched our product line of vet health supplements, Iron Horse Hemp. We're in about 20 different locations, retailers and distributors. We've created our own horse treat, which is pretty cool and quite popular, becoming quite popular. So we're happy that sales are growing, but for the most part, we were just at a trade show on the weekend, and what's really brilliant is just talking to people and talking to customers and seeing their enthusiasm, seeing their knowledge grow in regards to hemp products and the hemp industry overall. So that's a tremendous benefit. Some of our challenges, I guess, I'll go over this. So education, we're still, hemp is a fussy crop to grow and harvest, kind of has acquired a bad rap maybe for the last 20 years or so, but fortunately we're working directly with our growers, and they're using equipment that they already have for their other crops. And it usually takes one season to sort of debunk the horror stories that are out there. Otherwise, I find that many people still don't really understand the difference between hemp and pot, or what's CBD oil versus hemp seed oil. and that's on Main Street, that's with lenders, and that's also with regulators. So I think kudos to Hemp Alliance and CHTA for all the education that they've done so far, but I think there's still certainly work that needs to be done. Early on, our challenge was focus. With so many opportunities out there, it was difficult to discern what products would be sustainable, what would be economically feasible, what's the best approach. What are consumers interested in? How long does it take to get to market? What's the right strategy for our own region? And could we generate enough local supply and demand to sustain us in the long run? Another hurdle certainly is Health Canada. Not a treat to work with, and fortunately we got in there before COVID. I'm not sure what it's like now to work with them. Honestly, I think some companies are skirting, the regulations, either out of frustration with the system or just out of pure necessity. One thing, even to legalize hemp feed for chickens, that would open up the market tremendously. And just to, I think, create further awareness within the consumer market. Another area of challenging, of course, financing. Banks want predictable cash flow. Even ag lenders, we found when we went in there, because we're not a farming operation, we don't fit into the criteria necessarily, and then we get sent off to a hemp specialist, and because we're not in a major center, well, does the property really have value, so on and so forth. So a lot of we've just been self-financing, and up until now, we'll figure out how to expand, cross that bridge when it comes. Grant funding for R&D has been great, I have to say, and very much appreciated. And BDC did step up in the end. That was also very much appreciated. They've been great to work with. A little concerned about rising interest rates, but we'll cross that bridge when we need to. And just to end, it's the real blessing has been the people that we're working with. I think in our community anyways, people are looking for change. They're looking for crop diversity. They're looking for an opportunity to use less chemical. Fortunately, players are willing to step up and provide pricing that is competitive with canola and wheat. That's going to have to be sustained for, I think, a few years anyways. And I think it's just going to take some time, but close work, constant work with our communities to keep build this industry. So that's me. Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen. Just a point of clarification. I think most of you probably know this, but you mentioned you're creating some horse streets and so there is some animal consumption.
Yeah.
There's a line of distinction there, which is basically companion animals are eligible and free to be fed hemp. So
Right.
dog food, pet food, horse food, all that those are all legal. It's when you get into the animals in the food chain that you start to reach some challenges.
Right.
Ongoing work, but it takes time and money.
It does.
Add that. Question for Colleen?
Hi, thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for bringing a small town story to the big city.
Sure.
Resistance did you find with the people on the ground to the idea, oh my God, they're growing pot in the neighborhood, or they're bringing pot into or whatever. Like, how much resistance did you get?
It wasn't, I don't know if it was, well, maybe the resistance is there and I just haven't encountered it. But it was more sort of the heckling. Like when I first came back, and I couldn't believe it, we'd have meetings and, oh yeah, the cows are going to get stoned in the farm. And I thought, oh, okay, you've got to be kidding me. You don't seriously believe that. I thought that was, just jest. But we're past that now, thankfully. And I got to say, it was funny. The first year we grew, and of course it was right along the highway. So every time we would go back to the field, you could see the tracks through the ditch of of all the people going in to check it out or take snippets or whatever, which is, I thought, great. Just don't take acres. And if it means you're going to learn something about this, then I'm all for it. So within the community, I think, and everybody talks, right? You go to A&W and everybody sits and has coffee, and so if you need any information to be disseminated, you just go there, and it doesn't take long, and everybody learns, and it's one step at a time, for sure. Yeah, it's all good. Sure.
Colleen, I just want to build on that question a little bit too, because I've heard that BBC is actually very apprehensive to fund anything hemp or cannabis affiliated or related. Or did it take much convincing to get BBC to finance you, or have they opened up their minds a little bit? Or?
No, actually, they were the best. They didn't look down their noses, or lots of good questions. No, they were good.
They spoke to people in Ottawa. I emailed the contact forms. We spoke to people in Alberta. It was a challenge to find the right person. They all said, no, we won't touch hemp.
I think it's finding that right person who has a good enough knowledge and who's willing to go to bat for you. They're tough to find, but when you find them, they're brilliant, and they are out there. And again, it comes back to education. Even with lenders or government, we need to get the right information out there so there's more people who understand and are willing to support you and push the envelope, kind of thing.
Do you see this as a, I think it's working anymore. I don't want to make that back, keep that though. Do you think this is a replicatable model in other rural communities across Western Canada?
I hope so. We kind of had that in the back of our mind that maybe that would be a positive effect. And early on, it was like, oh, how are we ever gonna do this? But the key is to keep it simple. Work within your region. I think we can produce great crops with a dual purpose variety, but it's kind of backwards. We need to develop the products that are suited for whatever we're pulling out of the ground, and just keep it simple for us anyways, and for the community, right? Because then you get buy-in, people are more willing to tag along. If it means 2 weeks worth of workshops, no one really has time for that. And it's a rotation, so you have to understand it's one crop of many that they have to get used to, and figure out how to work it in the rotation. So people need a year or two in advance to know if they're going to grow it. Where's I going for this? So it takes time. You need to work within the region, and hopefully, yes, we can reproduce it elsewhere.
Thank you. Morris.
Yeah, it took about 2 months to convince a credit union to drop the $250 a month risk fee for a cannabis account when we wanted to set up an account for our hemp. It took them about 2 months to stir it around before they decided we were low enough risk that they wouldn't charge us $3,000 a year to have an account.
Yeah, I believe that. It's still too well associated with CBD versus, a crop like canola, right?
Yeah, if I may, Jeff Craddock, Mayor of Town of Devon. Stephen, who had been the mayor 7-8 years ago, had really put forth an effort to bring hemp to Devon, and they even set aside 40 acres that never went anywhere. I am here to say that I'm new, and Mark invited me here and said, you need to come and talk to these people in case there's somebody that's looking for an area. And I'm here to say I have no idea how to do that, but I would love to talk to people if there's any interest in having a spot or a manufacturing at the corner of 19 and 60, 10 minutes from the airport on some of the best soil in the area.
I'm sure Manny will put that in the press release. So, thanks.
Great plug.
Any other questions for Colleen? Awesome. Thank you so much, Colleen. That really was good.